Megaton Rainfall. First thing I thought of when I heard that name was, well, Fallout. I figured, oh, this might be some sort of post-nuclear, nuclear war type game. Well, I was wrong. It's actually a Superman simulator. And that piqued my interest as well. Flying around cities and fighting aliens gave me a little bit of an EDF vibe, and I really love the EDF series. But I wasn't entirely correct there either. So what is this VR-inspired game all about? Well, let's dive, or rather, fly right in. Here is my review of the superhero simulator, Megaton Rainfall, for the Nintendo Switch. In Megaton Rainfall, you play as a supernatural entity known as the Offspring, who was once human, but was modified and enhanced by your nameless father figure that tasks you with protecting the Earth from alien invaders and traveling through the cosmos to knock out their power source. Now, story is pretty light in this game, but what story there is quite interesting and intriguing. After you finish each mission, you're going to get a little bit more lore behind who you are, who your father figure is, who the aliens are, and why this situation happened in the first place. As you travel around the cosmos, you're going to find a lot of real interesting philosophical ideas about the universe, its creation, humanity's place in it. It's something that intrigued me from start to finish. Originally designed as a VR game, Megaton Rainfall is an open-world, first-person superhero simulator. As you play through the game, you're going to be flying through huge, massive environments and using various superpowers to destroy alien invaders and protect the citizens of Earth. The way you progress in this game is that you're flying around this huge, open version of planet Earth, and you've got markers for where the missions start. Go to where the marker is, and you'll find yourself in a city being attacked by alien invaders, and you'll spend the mission using your superhero powers fighting off the aliens and chasing them around the world. And once the mission ends, you are granted a new ability, a new superpower, and things open up again where you're able to freely explore the open world environment, and things repeat from there. You beat a mission, you get a new superpower, and you can explore again. Now, the two things I really like about this game are the power trip aspects and the scale of this world. When you're going through this game, you are an indestructible superhero. Aliens can't hurt you, the vacuum of space can't hurt you, you're literally invincible. So the game makes it strategic in that when you're fighting aliens, your health bar is humanity's health bar. Every single shot the aliens get in on the city and you get in on the city will lower that health bar, raising collateral damage. The game's got a really unique environment destruction system too, so everything that's down there that you can fire at can be destroyed and will raise collateral damage. And as much fun as it is to fire off nuke blasts at a city, you have to be careful that you're flying around and aiming at enemies, because when the game starts getting really difficult, every missed shot will be crucial health lost. Now let's talk about the scale. When you're between missions, you have a side quest to complete before the end of the game where you travel the cosmos looking for the objects that the aliens get power from. And when the game says travel the cosmos, it's not kidding. You literally travel the cosmos. Once you gain the ability from mission 2 or 3, you can fly outside of Earth's atmosphere to fly at faster speeds, and before you know it, you'll pass by the Moon, Saturn, the Sun, Pluto, and before long, you'll go even faster and you will be in this giant nexus with galaxies literally everywhere. And when you look at these dozens upon dozens upon dozens of galaxies, most of them you can visit. Fly up to a galaxy, enter a big cloud cluster, and all of the little twinkling planets that are twinkling just a little brighter than everything else can be zoomed in on and explore planets surrounded by their own stars. This game is literally gigantic universe scale. Now, there's not a lot to do out here outside of just enjoying the visual spectacle once that side quest is done. But the sheer fact that we have an open world game of this magnitude running on the Switch is quite interesting. Now, I had a ton of fun from start to finish in this game, but that start to finish wasn't very long. I spent about an hour playing through the 9 missions for the game's campaign mode, and a little less than that doing the explore the cosmos and find and destroy these objects side quest. So I would say I cleared the game in around 2 hours, not much more. And despite the fact that clearing the game opens up hard mode, score attack for the game's missions, and free mode where you can just freely explore, there's really not a lot to this game once you beat it. It's a pleasant but very, very short experience. Now let's get to controls and presentation, which is where a lot of the game's problems lie. As far as controls are concerned, the actual control scheme is fine. It's pretty simple for the most part. However, the controls are a little slippery. With automatically moving between different flight speeds depending on where you are, it's very difficult to get a good grasp and grip on where you're moving when you need to stop. I've had many situations where I just need to move slightly and I barely touch the analog stick and it moves me a few blocks away, whereas other times I've hit it the same way and it's barely moved just like I wanted. The controls are not very consistent and it can cause some annoyances when you're in the more intense missions. Now let's get into presentation. Graphically, Megaton Rainfall does not look very good. There's a constant blur and it looks like it has a really, really degraded and downgraded visual style to it. If you remember how Xenoblade Chronicles 2 looks in handheld mode at its worst, this game is like that in all modes, handheld mode and dock mode. Oddly enough, it looks the same as in handheld as it does in docked mode. Another thing to note is that this is specifically when you're around cities on Earth. When you're flying through space, things look pretty good, especially all of the planets. They look beautiful, but whenever you're fighting aliens on Earth, it looks really bad. And this is pushed further with performance. For the first half of the game, the frame rate seemed really good, and it seemed like that downgrade was at least partially worth it. I didn't have any time when the frame rate dropped under 30, and it stayed at 60 frames per second for a lot. But the farther you get in, the more enemies are on screen, the more the frames stutter before the game starts to freeze, and in the last 2 missions, I had the game crash on me a lot from stuttering so long that the game just freaked out. So even with the downed visuals, the game doesn't take too kindly to more than a couple enemies on screen at once. Now let's get into battery life, which I assumed would be amazing considering how downgraded the visuals were. But here are my times from 100% to 0%. Maximum brightness with the Wi-Fi on, 2 hours and 45 minutes. Maximum brightness with the Wi-Fi off, 2 hours and 52 minutes. Lower brightness with the Wi-Fi on, 3 hours and 13 minutes. Lower brightness with the Wi-Fi off, 3 hours and 20 minutes. It's definitely quite a bit above the average heavy resource Switch game, but not nearly as much as I was expecting. Now in conclusion, Megaton Rainfall is a huge power fantasy game with a massive open world scale that handhelds rarely ever have a chance to see. Unfortunately, the game's brought down by a lot of problems. The measly 2-hour campaign, all of the presentation and performance issues, the slippery controls. It's a really fun game, but if you care about visual integrity at all, you'd probably be better off grabbing it for the PS4 and the PlayStation VR. Reviews to Go rates Megaton Rainfall for the Nintendo Switch a 5 out of 10. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below, or head to the website at reviewstogo.home.blog.